Sultanate of Brunei, Sarawak, which belongs to Malaysia, and Kalimantan, part of Indonesia. Kalimantan is the land of the Dayak, a formidable warrior people. Before the arrival of Europeans, they practiced the fearsome activity of headhunting. Disasters, epidemics, good or bad harvests, conquests or defeats. For the Dayak, the fate of the living is in the hands of the dead. Each tribe have their shamans, charged with appeasing and comforting the wandering souls of the ancestors throughout the year, so as to prevent the village from being swallowed up by chaos. Over the past 100 years, the many and diverse Dayak ethnic groups who live in these dense forests have become subdued. They have abandoned many of the magical rituals that used to structure their daily life. Fearing that such rich and complex traditions may disappear forever, a team of Japanese filmmakers traveled to eastern Kalimantan in 1978 to record the last ritualistic ceremonies of 3 Dayak tribes, the Bahau, the Benua, and the Kayan. The Kayan live on the Kalimantan Plateau, a region isolated from the rest of the island. The only meat the Kayan eat regularly is chicken, and breeding these birds is a job for the young people. The Kayan's main food, however, is rice. Every 3 or 4 years, they clear a patch of forest, set fire to it, and grow dry rice. When the soil is exhausted, the Kayan move their village and clear new plots. The traditional Kayan village used to consist of between 100 and 300 people who shared a single house, called the Long House, where everyone lived. Kayan tribes used to be organized according to a strict hierarchy. Each social class had a role. The dominant class was in charge of defending the village. The lower class worked the land and did the housework. The Wadians, or shamans, made up the third class. They communicated with spirits to ensure that the living and the dead cohabited peacefully. There was no separation between religious life and social life. In time of crisis, the villagers always turned to the Wadians. Whether the problem was a death, an epidemic, or a conflict between 2 villagers, the Wadians were the ones in charge of interceding with the spirits. Today, under the influence of missionaries, Kayan rituals are combined with Christian ceremonies. These funeral rites are conducted strictly according to Christian ritual, though the soul of the deceased must still find its way to its traditional destination, the city of the dead. All the villagers have gathered in the communal room to mourn the dead man, while at the other end of the long house, the coffin is being made. young people start singing merry songs to comfort the dead man's family. Next morning, the whole village accompanies the dead man to his final resting place across the river. As the Wadian chants prayers to appease the soul and exhort it to head towards the city of the dead, the coffin is taken inside a richly decorated monument and lowered into the ground. Further east, along the Mahakam River, live the Bahau tribes. For them, the shamans remain very important figures. They are the ones who direct the Erau Kepala, or skull ceremony, a peaceful reenactment of the headhunt. Before the Europeans arrived in Borneo, the skull used in the ritual belonged to a man from a rival tribe, decapitated after a lengthy hunt through the jungle. Nowadays, the hunt is only symbolically acted out, and a substitute skull is used. But the rest of the ceremony, which lasts 9 days, has remained unchanged. It's performed to throw off any major misfortune affecting the community. For the past few weeks, an epidemic has been killing the chickens of the village. The village elder has decreed that an Erau Kepala must be held. For the first stage of the ritual, the skull will be carried through the forest in a procession, while the warriors gather in a hut outside the village, where they will spend the first night. Before they're allowed to join the warriors, the young boys who take part in an Erau Kepala for the first time must purify themselves in the river. This is a very important moment of their lives, the beginning of their initiation into the mysteries of the Bahau religion. The young initiates must stay awake all night to feed the fire. They repeat until they know them by heart the sacred words that the elders address to the skull. Towards the end of the night, the dead man is put to death a second time. With his machete, one of the elders removes fragments of the cranium. The aim of this ritual is to make all the curses that are striking the village fall back on the enemy's head. To achieve this, the village elder and the new initiates start to chant the following prayer. O spirit of the jungle, in our village all the pigs and chickens are dying, and our people are suffering from unknown diseases. So we offer you this skull. Please accept it and give health back to our village. Under the elder's guidance, a number of ceremonies will be performed, always the same and always in a precise order. On the second morning, the men in their festive costumes and the young initiates, now part of the adult world, cross the river again to bring the skull back to the village. As tradition demands, the women are waiting for them on the bank to celebrate the return of the victorious warriors. During the afternoon, the elder performs offerings to appease the spirits. Poles have been planted in the ground, and on each of them he places eggs and live chickens. At nightfall, the Natupek dance begins. The long line of men and women goes from house to house so that no one is forgotten when the spirit responsible for the epidemic decides to bring it to an end. The third day is devoted to the making of two statues. They will be erected on each side of the river during an outdoor ritualistic meal in which all the villagers take part. Finally, on the seventh day, the elder leads the procession carrying the skull through the village to the riverside. The procession has 12 stations, corresponding to the 12 protective spirits who watch over the village. The cortege stops 12 times, and each time the elder lays down a fragment of the skull. As a result of the ritual, the village will be surrounded by a protective barrier. Dances and songs carry on for another 2 days, and only then are the taboos lifted. The men were forbidden any sexual activity during the Erau Kepala. Now they can return to their wives. The community have done everything in their power to appease the angry spirits. The epidemic should soon be over. September brings the beginning of the rice planting season for the Dayak. The Benoa tribes celebrate Ngugu Taum, a traditional festival of song and dance designed to ensure the assistance of the spirits in obtaining the best possible crops. During the Ngugu Taun, the villagers once again gather inside the longhouse. Under the guidance of their bulians or shamans, they perform over and over the ritual prayers and offerings their ancestors' souls enjoy so much. The bulians have hung long strips of colorful cloth from the ceiling as ladders to allow the spirits to descend into the communal room. It's now time to tell the spirits that the community is ready to welcome them. The bulians will call to the wandering souls by blowing high-pitched whistles. The villagers sing and dance until one of the bulians falls into a trance, a sign that the ancestors have at last accepted the invitation. Today, it's the youngest bulian who first fell into a trance. When his body stops shaking, the others put him back on his feet and make him dance. This shows the spirits that they are truly welcome at the feast. It's now time to sacrifice the pigs and the chickens. Every animal brought by the villagers is purified by the bullions with prayers and magical signs that also protect the person making the offering. Offerings are either thanksgivings for the previous harvest or an insurance taken out on the coming one. Some people may also be asking for the recovery of a sick relative. The Bullians rub magical herbs on their bodies and ask the spirits for a rapid recovery. Some of the blood from the sacrificed pigs will be used to anoint the children. This will purify them and protect them from disease. The bullion takes great care to ensure that the right arm of the child is thoroughly anointed. For it is the arm that carries weapons, and it must be strong. The world of the Dayak has changed dramatically. First, Christianity supplanted the traditional beliefs of many Dayak tribes. Then, the growth of tourism encouraged the Dayaks to maintain the old rituals, a source of cohesion in increasingly troubled times.